distance-wise, was he in this area or was he in the back part of the?
And you said that there's a member of law enforcement 2 rows up, sitting right here, where there's an individual with a sheriff's shirt.
Yes.
And your testimony to Mr. Buckner comes down the hall.
Short of it is when I review the video, it is clear Mr. Buckner.
Approaching and seated to my right.
State your name, sir. Thank you. All right. Date and time set for preliminary examination. You may proceed.
That's correct, Your Honor. The people are ready to proceed. We intend on calling one witness. Maybe the people call their first witness.
You may.
We would call Amy Hudson to the stand.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to affirm the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? See, state, spell your first and last name for the record.
My name is Amy. It's A-M-E-E. My last name is Hudson. A-S-O.
All right. You may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. And just one other matter. My officer in charge, Deputy Von Heath, is present in the courtroom. He's the only other witness I have present. I don't intend to call him, but he is present in the courtroom.
All right.
Miss Hudson, directing your attention back to the date of April the 1st of this year, 2025, were you in this courthouse testifying in a preliminary examination on a different matter?
Yes.
Okay. And was that in this very courtroom, courtroom C?
Yes.
Okay. And who was the judge at the time?
Washington.
Judge Washington? Okay. And was the defendant in that case, based on your understanding, Ms. Hudson, Mr. Buckner?
Yes.
Is he present in the courtroom here today?
Yes.
Can you identify an article of clothing that he's wearing?
He was wearing a black.
Okay. Your Honor, may the record reflect in-court identification of the defendant?
Without objection, record shall so reflect.
And I don't want to get into the facts of that case, but you were some sort of witness in that criminal case. Was that a criminal case?
Yes.
Okay. And you were a witness in it?
Yes.
Okay. And had you testified before Judge Washington in that matter on the date of April 1st, 2025?
Yes.
Okay. At some point, were you done testifying?
Yes.
Okay. After you were done testifying, what did you do?
I went and sat back down while they called up the next witness.
Okay. Where did you sit down?
I sat about where I was sitting when I stood up today, maybe one row up.
Okay. So we're making a transcription of this. So I'm going to have to be.
It's on the right-hand side, probably the third row back.
You're pointing in the courtroom. So you remained in the courtroom?
Yes, I remained in.
Okay. So you sat down in what we would call the gallery of the courtroom from where you are sitting in the witness stand on the right-hand side. And you said about the third row back.
Third row back.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you did that while another witness was testifying.
Yes.
Okay. And at some point in time, did that witness stop testifying?
Yes.
Okay. What happened after that witness stopped testifying?
The judge asked for some more information, and then she called for a break.
Okay. The judge stood up to take a break? Okay. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. And what happened when the judge stood up to take a break?
When they called the court for recess, he was on the left-hand side.
Who is he?
Mr. Buckner was on the left-hand side. He stood up. He was around 2 people that had already started to be in the row.
I'm going to just stop you right there. So you've said the left-hand side. That would be the left-hand side of the courtroom from where you are seated in the witness stand today.
Yes.
Okay. That would be the side that the defendants normally sit at?
Yes.
Okay. Where was the defendant seated?
He was in the first row back.
In the gallery?
In the gallery.
Okay, so he was not seated at counsel table?
No.
Okay. So the judge got off the bench and exited the courtroom?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the judge, she did not exit the courtroom right away. She stood up, as they were calling. There was 2 people up front talking to her. And then when she got done speaking to them, that's when they called the recess. And he stood up
He being the defendant?
The defendant, yeah. Went towards the middle. There was two people already going to go to exit. He waited until the sound went out.
Okay, when you say how do you know he waited until the sound went out?
Because he turned around and he looked. He stopped.
Objection, speculation.
I'm gonna overrule the objection. I'm gonna let her.
He stopped. He looked back. The minute
Hold on. Look back at
the
where?
screen. He looked back at the screen to make sure that the judge.
I'm gonna just,
Okay.
I'll stop you there. We're gonna unpack this a little bit. And Judge, I understand the court's
Okay.
concern. So you observed the defendant. You said he stopped. Where did he physically stop?
In the middle.
In the middle aisle?
In the middle of the aisle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where was he in the middle of the aisle, close to what we would call the bar or close to the back door of the court?
He was in the middle, like closer towards this side of
Your motion, the right side.
the right side.
Okay.
Yes.
But I'm asking you, distance-wise, was he in this area or was he in the back part of the
No, he was closer towards
the front? Okay. You are still, fair to say, you are still seated in the third row
I'm still seated.
on the right, your right side of the courtroom.
Yes.
Okay. When the defendant stopped, is he looking at you or is he looking somewhere else?
When he first stopped, he was looking like straight ahead.
Straight ahead.
And then he
And
Straight ahead toward.
Yeah,
towards the exit door.
towards the exit door.
Yes.
Okay.
And then when he stopped, he turned around and he looked.
And in what direction, when he turns around and looks, in what direction is he looking?
He's looking to see if the judge is.
I'm not, and so I'm not asking you, you can testify to things that you see, things that you hear, things that you witness. You can't testify to what someone else is thinking.
Right.
Okay,
No, he
so,
turned in the direction as to where the judge stand is.
okay, so just so we're clear, the defendant was looking towards the back doors of the courtroom. He then turned around and is looking in the direction of where the bench and the TVs are.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the bench and the TVs are.
At some point, does he then turn back around to look towards the back door?
Yes, he does.
When did he do that?
The minute the screen started making that sound.
Like a whoosh, white noise sound?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, like
And
it's no longer.
And I will direct your attention
Okay, go ahead.
I'll direct your attention right now. There are screens on in this courtroom. You see those?
Yes.
And they're depicting the court and yourself in the witness stand. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did the screens look like that when the okay. What did they look like if
They
you look?
were like, as if cable went out, they were, there was nothing there. It said private.
Okay, it said private.
There's a black screen with private written in white.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
At that point, once the screens changed from showing the video of the courtroom to this private, what did the defendant do?
He walked on to the right-hand side, stopped to where I was sitting, and made verbal threats.
Okay. He said something to you?
Yes.
What did he say to you?
He called me.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Yes.
Hold on a moment. You mentioned something and I just need to clarify this. You said that there was static.
Yes, sir.
What was that you're talking about?
There was no more picture showing. It was just like when you call up the lawyers to speak to you,
Mm-hmm.
the screen makes a noise. It makes it makes a noise. I don't know how to describe it. It's not it's not a silent noise. It makes a noise to where it's not recording anymore. Do you want me to sit down so you can turn it off?
No.
Okay.
I'm pretty much here every day. I'm just trying to figure out what you're talking about. You're saying it made a noise.
Yes, the screen went blank, and it's not like it's crushing out a noise, there's a noise.
Coming out of the speakers.
Yes, coming out of the speakers.
Was it a constant noise?
It started, and then I'll be honest, I don't know if it was on.
Gotcha. Okay, just one other thing.
That's fine.
When you said Judge Washington was talking to two people, was he talking to two people in front of the bench or two
Yes.
people behind the bench?
No, two people in front.
So she was speaking to two people in front of the bench. All right. At the point at which she's doing that, can you hear that conversation?
No,
Okay, at the point at which she's doing that, do you hear anything in the courtroom?
no. I mean, I can hear people talk, but not up front. I mean, just what, people may be saying as they're sitting on the gallery.
Right, but do you hear anything else?
No,
Okay. And she had that conversation and then turned around and left.
yes, yep, they call it.
At the point that that happened, what was on the screen?
Before, when she got done speaking to them,
Not as she's talking to them. What's on the screen?
there's nothing on the screen. And then when she got done speaking, then the video came back up before they called recess.
And when you say the video came back up, the video like it is right now?
Yes, and
Okay.
it just showed her on the bench. There was no one on the stand.
Okay, go ahead.
So at some point, as we've discussed, the defendant then turns and is walking, now facing back towards the back door,
Yes.
which would also be in the direction that you are in relation to the defendant.
I think he's just recapping what she's saying, so I'll overrule that. Go ahead.
Yes,
Okay. And you had previously said the defendant said something to you.
yes.
Okay. What did he say to you?
He called me a lying bitch and told me that he was going to get even, he was going to get me. That was the last thing he did. He was going to get me.
Did you say anything in response to that?
No,
How did that statement by the defendant make you feel?
threatened.
After he made that statement to you, where did the defendant go?
He turned around, looked back one more
And
time.
I'm going to stop you there just so we're clear. So at the time he's talking to you, is the defendant looking towards the back of the courtroom or the front of the courtroom?
He's looking he's looking at me.
Right.
At the exit.
Okay, so he's facing away from where the judge would sit.
Yes,
Okay. After he makes that statement, you said he turns around.
yes.
Okay. When he turns around, in what direction is he now facing?
He's facing back towards the front where the judge would be sitting for
Okay.
this area.
At the time he turns around, is the judge on the bench?
No,
Okay. If you recall, at the time he turns around, who would be on, and I'm motioning on the other side of the bar, who were there attorneys or people present?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, his lawyer was still on the left-hand side. You guys are still on the right-hand side.
You guys being someone from the prosecutor's office? Okay.
Yes. And there was one officer also on the right-hand side, and there was one officer sitting out in the gallery, like 2 up from me.
Okay. So the defendant makes a statement to you. He turns around and he's now facing back in the direction of where the judge would sit. And what happens next?
The minute he saw that his lawyer was coming out, he turned around and took out the exit door.
Okay.
So again, speculation of what my client saw.
Okay. I would agree. So his lawyer, what you saw, ma'am, was his lawyer starting to leave and then he left.
Yeah. The minute
That's what you saw.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I think that corrects it. That's what.
Um,
Go ahead.
And did you remain seated in the gallery of the courtroom, or did you exit the courtroom at that point?
I remained seated.
Okay. And at some point after this fact, did you bring what had happened to someone else's attention?
Yes,
And who was that?
it was one of the police officers.
One of the police officers present in the courtroom?
Yes.
Okay. After you made contact with the police officer, did you have any further interactions with the defendant, Mr. Buckner? Okay. Certainly not in the courtroom,
Right,
correct?
right.
Okay. Anything in the hallway of the courthouse?
No,
Okay.
no.
Mayor, one moment, Your Honor.
Ma'am. While you do that, ma'am, you said you were seated in the third row. How far in on that third row were you?
Right there where the gentleman is with the black sweatshirt.
So you were seated on the end
Yes.
toward the aisle.
Yes,
Okay.
I have no further questions, Judge. Thank you.
Cross-examination.
Okay, ma'am. So you were here to testify, and if you remember, was that in case number 25 FB 1106, if you know?
I have no idea.
Did you get a subpoena to come to court and testify in that
No.
case? In that case.
I did not get a subpoena.
Okay.
They asked me to come and testify.
Now, it's my understanding that you're indicating that you are
Picking
sitting
him up. Picking him up.
in the gallery of the courtroom right here.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, gotcha.
Is that correct?
Yes,
And you said that there's a member of law enforcement 2 rows up, sitting right here where there's an individual with a sheriff's shirt.
yes,
And your testimony to Mr. Buckner comes down the hall, the aisleway, stands at that same pew where the law enforcement officer was and issues a threat to you, which would have been within 15 feet of the law enforcement officer.
I never said that. I said he stopped at where I was sitting and said something to me. I never at any time said anything that he stopped where the police officer was sitting at the pew.
So when he stopped, he was at your row,
Yes,
Picking him up.
but there was still a law enforcement officer 2 rows up.
yes.
Was there other law enforcement officers in the courtroom like there are today?
There's one sitting up in the corner, up here on the right-hand side, where the gentleman is with the glasses.
When any of, I'm sorry,
Sitting where?
The gentleman with the glasses over here?
Mr. Bird?
Yes, that's where the other.
Oh, on this side. On this side?
On this side.
On the right. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, counsel.
when this statement was allegedly made, none of the law enforcement officers in the courtroom jumped up and said anything?
No,
Now, you indicated that after you testified, you stayed in the courtroom.
yes.
Was there a sequestration order that,
What?
was there an order that you leave the courtroom after you finished testifying?
No,
Okay, so you heard the testimony after your testimony.
yes,
Mr. Buckner's lawyer at the time challenged the accusations that you made regarding Mr. Buckner, correct?
In which case?
In the case you were there to testify about.
Okay. Your Honor, I would object to what that other lawyer did. That would be hearsay.
I'm not asking for
Well,
what,
she's asking, I'll overrule that. I mean, he's not asking what she said. He's just asking what her impression of what he did.
right.
So go ahead.
His lawyer in the case you were there to testify on was challenging you on the assertions, allegations you made about Mr. Buckner.
for that case?
Yes.
Well, I mean, I don't know if he was challenging me, he was just questioning me as
Okay.
as you are.
And there was another witness that came up to testify after your testimony, correct?
Yes,
You heard that witness's testimony.
yes,
You were there when the preliminary examination ended, correct?
yes,
That Judge Washington, found that there was no probable cause that Mr. Buckner committed a crime. Correct.
I would object to the relevance of that.
Well, Your Honor, the relevance is they've charged my client with intimidating.
I'm going to overrule the objection.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Judge Washington found that there was no probable cause to believe that Mr. Buckner committed a crime after you testified, correct?
she also stated that it can be called back up if they get the proof that they need.
Okay. which is fair. All right. So after you made accusations about Mr. Buckner pointing guns at people, correct?
What does that have to do with this?
Ma'am, answer the question, ma'am.
Yes, I did.
You made accusations that you saw him deliver crack from a great distance away. You didn't make the accusation? Did you make an accusation that you saw him point a gun at somebody?
Yes.
Okay. No further questions, y'all.
I have no redirect, Judge. Thank you.
All right. Ma'am, how long did it take you to report this to somebody?
Within minutes.
Where was Mr. Buckner when you reported this?
He had walked out of the courtroom.
How long after he walked out of the courtroom did you report it?
Within probably 2 minutes, if even that,
To whom?
to the police officer passing by.
Which police officer? Is that officer here today?
Yes,
Okay, and that's who you reported it to?
yes,
Interaction, and if you look back on the right-hand side where the gentleman seated in the black shirt is, you're saying that's where you were sitting.
yes,
When Mr. Buckner came down the aisle, you'll notice that the back row is basically a handicap accessible row or a non-handicap accessible row. You see that where it extends out?
yes.
How close was Mr. Buckner when he's making these comments?
He was past where the gentleman is sitting with the black sweatshirt, and he was in between that row and the woman sitting right behind him. And he leaned back and
He leaned back.
he was, turned his head back and spoke to me.
So because that's a little bit different than what you told me before. Because you're saying that he was where the gentleman seated in the black
Right.
is, he was past him toward the door.
No, right, there's right where he's sitting, right there, at that spot, right there. It's like there's a spot, where you, not where you would enter, but where would be if you're standing beside. So closer towards the opening of the back row.
So he's standing closest to the opening of the back row.
Right, but he's beside where the gentleman is with the black section. And that's where it's.
But he's over on that side of the courtroom?
Yeah.
Ma'am, are you telling me he's no longer in the middle aisle?
No, he crossed from the middle aisle to stand closer towards the right-hand side. He's no longer in the middle. He's standing like as if you're having a one-on-one private conversation with somebody.
How loud were these comments you say he was making?
They were not other people were walking out of the courtroom. I could hear them, but it's not like he was screaming them. They were normal voices.
You testified in the previous matter. Was there a victim's advocate assigned to you?
Yes, there was a victim's advocate.
After you testified, did you talk to that victim's advocate?
He asked me to just go sit into the courtroom.
I want to go back, ma'am. At the time that you say Mr. Buckner got up, what's on the screens in the courtroom?
The screen was still on to where you could see where the judge was sitting. And then she called for a conference. And then the screen went blank. And then the screen went back up to where you could see where the judge was sitting. And then she called for a recess.
And then what happened to the screen when she called for a recess?
And then the screen went blank and said, it didn't show any pictures, didn't show any people anymore.
Prior to the judge taking recess, Was it Mr. Buckner's other case that was being heard, the case that you were there for?
That case had been heard, and then honestly, as another case was heard, there was a witness, but I think he was sitting out in the galley, and I think that they had started to call for another case, because I don't think that.
Had your case that you were there on, had it concluded at that point?
Yes, because he was sitting out in the galley.
Okay, so then my question is that case had concluded, the judge had made a ruling.
No, she had asked for some more information, and they had set it aside for a minute and was gonna call it back up.
And so had they called another case?
Yes,
Was Mr. Buckner's attorney on that case?
no, he was sitting on the left side, where the gentleman is behind his lawyer right now where the glass is.
So he had moved back to the chair.
Yes,
But during Mr. Buckner's case, he was at the table with Mr. Buckner.
yes.
From that period in time, that case ending until the judge took a recess, approximately how much time was there? Mr. Buckner, you said was in that first row, right?
Yes,
How far into that first row was he?
like right on the end.
So he's right on the end, seated where I guess the young lady in the pink would be.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Sorry to use the people as props, but that's where he was sitting?
Yes,
Okay, so he's sitting right behind his attorney.
yes,
Okay. And then at some point he gets up and walks back. Were you the only witness that had testified in that previous case?
no, it was me and one police officer, but I
Okay.
was the only.
Where was the police officer that testified?
He was sitting over, on the right-hand side where the gentleman is with the glasses
Did he testify before or after you?
after me.
He testified after you.
Yes.
Was there another witness then?
They stopped because the judge asked for information. So they were pausing it to see if they could collect the information that was needed to proceed with the case.
So just so I'm clear, you were the first witness to testify, right?
Yes,
Next witness was a police officer.
yes,
And all during that time, Mr. Buckner is at the table approximately where he is right now.
yes,
Then at some point, there's a break. Mr. Buckner leaves the table and
yes,
is seated in basically the first seat in the first row behind defense counsel.
yes,
Then another case is called,
yes.
right? And was it the attorneys on that next case? Was that who the judge was talking to?
Yes, I don't know if it was it was someone from the state and then someone representing that person. So yes, that's who the judge was talking to.
They were the attorneys on the next case.
Yes,
Okay, and the judge spoke with them. As the judge is speaking with them, what do you hear in the courtroom?
the noise coming from the speaker and
What noise?
the, whatever that noise is. I don't know how to describe it,
Okay,
but just so we can't hear what's being said up here at the.
okay, so you hear that.
Yes,
At the point that you hear that, where is Mr. Buckner?
still seated.
Okay. The judge then leaves that session, gets up to walk out.
Right, but the screens turned back. When they went back towards their tables, the screens went back to where you could see the judge. And then they called recess.
All right. At the point that they call recess, where is Mr. Buckner?
That's when he stands up, goes towards the middle of it, and then there's two people. He goes, and then that's when he stops. There's two people getting out like in the next row.
How many people were behind Mr. Buckner in the gala?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean,
How many people was there a person sitting behind you?
I don't think so.
Was there a person next to you?
No,
Was there a person in front of you, which would have been in the second aisle?
I don't. If there was, I think.
Didn't ask that. Do you know whether or not, okay, do you know whether there was a person 2 aisles up?
Yes. That's
Who
the
was-
police officer.
And how far over was the police officer? You're saying where the gentleman that just sat down in the blue tie would be? Mr. Warren
No,
Green, that's your.
further over. He's probably where the other officer is, if not closer towards.
So he's further over toward the wall.
Yes.
Is there anybody else in that row that you recall?
No.
Is there any, so where you are, you're saying there's nobody in your row?
Not that I remember, but I'm not that I remember.
Behind you, you're indicating that there's nobody behind you in that row.
Not that I remember.
In front of you, the row would be directly in front of you. There's nobody in that row that you recall.
Not in front of me, there was someone down.
There was what?
There was someone down closer towards like where the gentleman is with the blue tie. There was 2 people right there.
There were 2 people right there?
Yeah. They weren't towards the edge, they were like in the middle down.
And Mr. Buckner allegedly makes those comments. Do they turn around?
I was not paying attention. I just put my head down and just let it happen.
Council, I know, council approach briefly. Right, let's go get that. So what I'm gonna do in this case is, and I talked with council, I'm gonna take a brief break. Get some information, get it to council, and then, continue the hearing after that.
May this witness be excused or is the court obviously appropriate if the court wants to inquire based on reviewing the video?
Yeah, I don't want this witness excused at this point because I may have questions and the video also may give rise to questions from, Mr. Johnson. All right. So we'll pause in this case. You may step down, man. And I'll call you back up and, court's gonna take a brief recess. And I know people want to talk to me, but court's gonna take.
Mr. Milano and I were hoping to approach.
Yeah, but court take a brief recess.
All rise.
None of that was caught. All right. State of Michigan versus Lawrence Buckner.
Andrew Childers appearing on behalf of the people, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Kareem Johnson, on behalf of Mr. Buckner.
All right. We had finished that witness. Do people have a motion?
And I guess just for clarification, I don't think we technically finished the witness.
That's true.
So if the court is satisfied, I have no further questions for that witness.
Okay.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Very good.
We'll have no further witnesses. The people will rest.
All right. Any witnesses for the defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right.
Your Honor, at this time, the people would move to bind the defendant over as charged on the 1 count of witness intimidation based on the testimony of our 1 witness. Obviously, the court has provided both myself and Mr. Johnson copies of the video. Because our county issued laptops don't have CD discs, wasn't able to watch it myself, but I know the court has watched it, and I trust the court's judgment in reviewing and will respect the court's decision in that. And so, thank you.
All right. Check.
Your Honor, for the testimony, reasons stated on the record through cross-examination and the video that I asked to be admitted as defense exhibit A, I'd ask the court to not bind this matter over.
All right. The court will admit without objection exhibit A. In this matter, the court was very specific in questioning Ms. Hudson with regard to where she was at particular times and the like to try to get a sense and feeling as to where Mr. Buckner would have been at any given time. The long and short of it is when I review the video, it is clear Mr. Buckner is not seated in the first seat. He's actually seated in the second row back. And he's sitting there. We can pick up Mr. Buckner and I'm looking at it. When I time what portions of the video, well, let me make this clear. There are points at which when the court goes into recess, there is no video. So in looking at it, best of court can as to the timing of when the events would have occurred. It is clear we see Mr. Buckner in the courtroom at a particular point. No doubt. He's in that second row, sitting there. He's second row, basically second seat in. At the point at which Ms. Hudson indicates that this occurred, Mr. Buckner is not in the courtroom. And that doesn't mean that it may not have occurred at another point. However, the testimony that I have in this case, it couldn't have happened. Mr. Buckner would not have been in the courtroom at that point in time. So with that finding in the court having reviewed that, the court's going to find that there's no probable cause to bind this defendant over on this charge. These charges are dismissed. Thank you. You don't want to take it and keep it?
No, sir.
Yes. Go over. It'll be entered in the system. We'll call over and make sure that just get over to community corrections.
I got to go to the other courthouse, and I got to be there too, so I can just walk across the street.
To do what?
Tether up.
Yeah, you can go over to community corrections. All right. If they give you a problem, tell them to call over to my court, and we'll let them know. All right. Thank you.
Judge Simpson's courtroom became the center of a tense witness intimidation hearing after a key witness claimed defendant Lawrence Buckner confronted her during a courthouse recess and made threatening remarks. Throughout the hearing, prosecutors relied heavily on witness testimony describing the courtroom layout, the timing of the recess, and the defendant's alleged movements after the courtroom screens switched into private mode. The witness testified that Buckner quietly approached her in the gallery and warned that he would get even, creating a dramatic and uncomfortable moment inside the courthouse. As the hearing continued, the defense carefully challenged the accuracy of the witness's timeline, questioning where Buckner was seated, how close nearby officers were, and whether anyone else in the courtroom actually heard the alleged threat. Cross-examination exposed several inconsistencies about distances, seating positions, and the exact sequence of events during the recess. The major turning point came when Judge Simpson personally reviewed the courthouse video footage. After comparing the testimony with the recorded timeline, the court determined that the surveillance evidence did not fully support the witness's version of events. According to the judge's findings, Buckner was not visible in the courtroom at the specific moment the alleged intimidation was said to have occurred. In the end, Judge Simpson ruled there was not enough probable cause to move the witness intimidation charge forward, leading to the dismissal of the case. The hearing became a striking example of how video evidence, courtroom procedure, and detailed cross-examination can dramatically shift the outcome of a criminal case in real time.